Did you guys watch Raw?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so Seth Rollins comes out, and I guess they are pushing him as a babyface now, which I'm not. But I guess they kind of need.
Well, they have no
babyface.
choice, dude.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you
Right.
like? They have no choice, literally.
Right. Rollins said last week was crazy. He issued up a challenge. His challengers were coming out of the woodwork. He mentioned Theory trying to cash in. The crowd chanted, "That was stupid." That's actually a pretty funny chant. Rollins said he was sure Theory would be out later, and fans could tell him how stupid he is then. Rollins said the U.S. title is now the top prize of Monday nights because he holds it. And Rollins said they would add to his legacy as champion when he faces Finn Balor. Bobby Lashley made his entrance, and Lashley walked out with a mic and spoke as he walked to the ring. Lashley said he turned little selfie boy into a punchline, and Lashley in the ring had said the beating he gave Rollins last week can continue to happen until he gets the U.S. title back. Rollins referred to Lashley as Big Bob and said his temper's been getting the better of him. Rollins assumed it had something to do with Lashley losing to Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel. Mustafa Ali comes out with a referee walking in, and Lashley asked Ali what he was doing. He said the beating he gave out Ali last week pale in comparison to the next one. Told him to leave before he hurts him. Ali attacked him, just threw him out of the ring, and then Ali jumped back on him again, and they decided, okay, we have a match. So the bell rang, and basically Bobby Lashley, the gimmick was here that Ali was all and wasn't going to quit, but he just got pummeled, right? And Bobby beats him in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. What do you think of this segment?
Well, it just looks like somebody there really believes in Ali and they're really, really pushing him, but the people don't buy into him and they actually booed him, like when Rollins said his name in his in-ring promo.
Mm-hmm.
And as a matter of fact, now that I remember, when Bobby was throwing him around, the people were actually chanting one more time.
Right.
Like, people aren't into him, they don't believe him, and neither do I. I don't think, he's another guy that they're pushing in a spot that he's not ready for, and they're not listening to the people.
So Kathy Kelly interviews AJ, Luke, Carl Anderson, and Mia Yim on the backstage set, and Gallows took credit for Yim joining forces with them because he claimed to have a way with the women. Styles challenged Finn to face him in a singles match at Survivor Series to put an end to things, and Anderson know that Yim was having her return match. Yim said she had to go to the ring and they could celebrate. This is like, I don't know, this is kind of a weird backstage segment to me. But Mia Yim comes out, she wrestles Tamina and beats her in 2 minutes. After the match, Ripley and Dominic came out to watch from ringside, and Ripley teased into the ring and actually got a decent pop. But then she dropped back down to ringside and told Yim that she's in her head. So that was actually good for Yim because she needed like a crowd reaction for that, because I don't think the crowd's into her yet. But she just started last week, so we'll see. What'd you think?
Well, this was kind of a cold match. That's why the people weren't into it. There was a moment when Yim was throwing Tamina into the corner, and they looked like they had a miscommunication issues. And the people popped when Ripley wanted to get into the ring. Ripley's over with the people. But my problem is that if you notice, Mia Yim came out a lot during this show.
Yes, it was the Mia Yim show. We'll get to this.
And they're trying to position her as like this tough, badass. And much like Liv Morgan, I'm not buying it. She looks, dude, she's got blue hair and she smiles. She looks like a nerd.
Right.
Like, there's no way she should be going up against Rhea Ripley, who looks like the real deal, badass,
Right.
Black goth, physical specimen.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's like, they're trying to put all this verbiage that she's a badass and she's here to put Ripley in her place. And I'm like, her?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
she's kind of
miscast. A better spot for Raquel Rodriguez, acting more tough.
Right. Raquel Rodriguez would be more like it, right? Yeah.
Right. So Matt Riddle's interviewed by Kelly in the backstage area and said Elias was doing rock star things by booking their gigs. And he was playing his bongo drums, and Otis and Gable showed up and gave the shush treatment. And Riddle responded by hitting his bongo drums and said they're going to wrestle after the break. So they do this again after break. So then they go to the Riddles.
This was not only brutal, but it was corny.
This didn't even make it to Hulu. So this is stuff I'm seeing this for the first time.
It was terrible.
So backstage, Damage Control invited Mia Yim to join their War Games team, but she wasn't interested. And they started to intimidate her when the OC showed up, which caused Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai to leave. And then they do Matt Riddle against Chad Gable, and Chad. I didn't even see it. So Chad Gable beats Matt Riddle.
Yeah, I wonder if Riddle has heat.
That's how they took literally. I was gonna say, I wonder if he has. You took the words right out of my mouth because, that's a, or maybe Riddle can lose. Maybe this guy Gable needs a win.
But he's been having he had another loss, I think, last week, right? Didn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So next is this.
Let me just say this. I thought this match was going to be great, and it was. What a great match. I love the way they put their matches together. They remind me of New Day and
Usos.
The Usos.
Yeah.
You know, like they put matches that are entertaining and they're just trying to get
well
over.
structured.
Right.
You know,
they're not. They don't care about egos. Yeah. Really well done.
So this didn't make it to Hulu either. Baron Corbin was shown playing poker in the locker room with another person while JBL sat at the table. Corbin won the hand. A servant showed up and offered JBL some Kentucky bourbon. JBL said he didn't need anything from a bunch of banjo-playing Kentucky hillbillies, and they dismissed the poker player. Tozawa sat down at the table, and JBL said they were busy and called Tozawa an idiot. I play poker, Tozawa said. JBL asked Tozawa if he's ever played poker or knew the rules, and Tozawa answered no to both questions, and JBL said, your money is good here.
Okay, let me tell you the one thing they did right here, and we've been saying this for weeks. Corbin was now dressed up like JBL, bro, and he looked like $1,000,000. I mean, he looked like a star. But once Tozawa showed up, I thought to myself, this is going to be a stupid, non-funny, Tozawa beating everybody because the first time he ever played poker skit that we've seen. But let's see if they can make it work. And they didn't.
All right.
Go ahead.
So next is next we have the Miz comes out. He's dressed like Mr. Rogers. He's wearing like a cardigan sweater and stuff. Did
you see this?
Yes, I did. This made it to Hulu. Okay. Right. So he said he's not the host of this. That Byron Saxton would be the host. Okay, and he'll be interviewing him. He had a family photo on the table in between them, and he put on a pair of reading glasses. He said he's going to read a prepared statement. Miz got the crowd worked up by asking for silence, and Miz said people haven't been on his side despite his long reign in WWE and despite everything he's accomplished. Miz claimed he had to put a stop to Loomis's greediness. Saxon asked Miz why he told a different story to his private investigator. Miz said he was telling her what she wanted to hear so she would buy his IP. Miz said Hollywood doesn't want the truth. And Miz said he's a loving husband, devoted father who's been depressed. So Gargano makes his entrance with a mic in his hand and pointed out that Miz wasn't depressed. He was vacationing in Cabo. And Gargano noted that Miz's wife posted pictures on Instagram, and Miz said he was depressed in his hotel room. Miz questioned why Gargano was involved in this. He asked Gargano wanting everyone to chant Johnny Wrestling, which the crowd then chanted. And Gargano said he loved the chant, but he labeled Miz a compulsive liar. He pointed out Miz's sweater referred to him as Mr. Rogers. He said Mr. Rogers was a good guy, and Miz got upset and said he's a good guy. And Miz said he was sorry several times. That's to just move on so he could be the cornerstone of the company, a role model for his children. Gargano told Miz to pay Loomis what he owes him. Gargano said he spoke with WWE officials who thought the hidden camera footage was convincing. Gargano said it will all come to an end in 2 weeks when Miz faces Dexter Loomis, and Gargano said that if Loomis wins, Miz has to pay him everything he owes him, and Loomis will get a WWE contract. Miz told Gargano to tell Loomis that the match would be the biggest mistake of his life, and Gargano told Miz to tell Loomis himself. The cameraman behind Miz removed his hat and face covering and revealed himself to be Loomis. And then the Miz ran out of the ring, and Loomis left the ring and slowly walked to the back while the broadcast team emphasized that Miz versus Loomis would take place in Survivor Series. This was long, convoluted, and I'm not into this story at all.
What do you think of this, Joe?
Well, at least it's a story, and I mean the segment was long, but
no,
I like
it's
seeing
a bad story.
Well,
that's the problem.
At least it'll get Loomis. It'll end this long running thing that's been going on with him, and obviously it's all been set up to get him back on TV with a contract and all that. And I don't know. I think whatever Miz is involved in, he's been pretty much gold for a few years, so I don't mind it.
I thought this was too. I read people giving it glittering reports. I thought this was too long. I thought it dragged. I went from intrigued to get this over with already. Too many explanations for something that's not that important, between the hidden camera and the explanation last week and the explanation before that and the explanation this week. How many times do you need to explain the whole thing?
Yeah.
They milked it too long, and the shark jumped the rails or whatever they call it. The water skis.
Footage aired from earlier today of Sheldon Benjamin being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. Then Dominic and Priest interrupted. Dom said Benjamin has been a failure since his father and Eddie Guerrero were in their prime, and Dom said that makes him way better than Benjamin. Priest said that Benjamin has a problem with Dom, then Benjamin has a problem with him, and Benjamin said he accepted your challenge and pointed to Dom. That was from earlier today, so then they go to their entrance for the match, and Dominic versus Sheldon Benjamin. Benjamin stuck his head through the ropes and jawed at Priest, and Dom took advantage of the distraction by running Benjamin's head to the ring post, and Dom DDT'd Benjamin. They performed a top rope frog splash for the win. Dom goes over Sheldon Benjamin in 5 minutes. What do you think of this?
Let me just say this. The way Shelton is booked, you knew who was doing the job, so this match had zero heat because it was a cold match thrown together. But I will say this for Shelton. He always looks good. He can talk, and he was in great shape. But people were not into this.
Austin Theory was they showed him dejected backstage, and when they come back from commercial, he was interviewed on the backstage set by Kathy Kelly. Said no one understands the pressure he's under. He said everyone thinks he's made for this due to his looks, athleticism, and the so-called opportunities he's been handed. Theory said no one knows the full story. He said people can't relate to him and they want to see him fail. He said that's not going to happen. He said everyone thinks he failed last week, but they're wrong because he feels more alive than he ever was. Theory said the Money in the Bank contract was an anchor. He said no one has been able to touch Roman Reigns for 2 years. He said that on the rare times when Reigns looks vulnerable, the bloodline is there. Theory said he opted to go after Seth Rollins, who was on his back at the time, and Theory said Bobby Lashley pulled him out of the ring or he would be a 2-time U.S. champion. Then Dolph enters the picture and said, but by the way, Theory's excellent in this interview, by the way, with good emotion. Dolph enters the picture and said the worst cash-in ever. And Ziggler said he tried to help Theory, but showed him things that no one showed him, and Ziggler said Theory's ego was too big and didn't want to listen. Theory said he's sick of people talking down to him, and Theory said he's not the future, he's the now, and he wants to show that to Ziggler in the ring. I thought this was very good. Bro, that's the this is the thing too. This is where story, like character development and storytelling come into play when you have a backstage interview.
Yeah.
Like he's telling the story of why I cashed in.
Yeah.
But people, I got a lot of pressure on me. People think I'm the face of this. But I thought this was a very good interview for character development.
Yeah, especially because not only it's a good combination because if they want to keep these two together and go that route, they can have Ziggler always say to him, hey, I was the guy with potential once, and I made some mistakes with my ego, and look at me, and don't make the same mistakes I did, like that, so maybe they'll go that route. It's good to see Dolph get something to do, though.
What did you think, Konnan?
Great match.
We haven't got the match yet. So the match isn't yet. We're not.
What are we talking about?
The backstage
promo.
Yeah.
Backstage promo to set it up.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So next, Dana Brooke is upset that Nikki Cross threw her championship in the trash. So Io Sky against Dana Brooke, and she wins in the 3 minutes and 15
She
seconds.
should have thrown trash. Should have thrown Dana Brooks in the trash while she was at it. Nothing.
Well, that's a cheap shot. It's misogynistic too. After the match, Mia Yim made her entrance, said she's hard about their War Games offer, and Yim said they were right. War Games is a match where everyone has to pick a side. Yim said she picked her side. Bianca comes out with Asuka, Alexa, and joined Yim on the stage.
I think it's funny how they have Dana Brooks. First of all, I didn't recognize her because she changed her hair. She did something. But anyways, she's out there. I worked so hard for this title, and, I've tried to make it mean. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's a meaningless, nothing title, which you did nothing to elevate it. You know what I'm saying?
And it drugged the show down.
Yeah. So this did not make it to Hulu, but backstage, Tozawa was dominating Corbin in poker, and Corbin said he was all in. Tozawa won again, and Corbin tried to claim he had 3 aces, and JBL declared him the winner. And Tozawa turned over Corbin's cards to show he was lying, and Corbin said they weren't done until he said they were done, and Tozawa challenged Corbin to a match. So they're going to have a match.
This was neither funny nor good.
So Austin Theory versus Ziggler is a good match, and the gimmick here is that basically he hits him with his A-Town finisher, and he looks at him, and he's going like something triggers in his head, and he gives him another one, and he starts just pummeling him at ringside and throws him out of the ring and is beating him up, and the referees are trying to pull him off, and the referee just called for the bell and called it a no contest because Theory just beat him up on outside the ring so much. And then he threw him in the timekeeper's area and threw a chair at him, then picked up an office chair and threw it. It's just like he just went postal on Dolph Ziggler was the gimmick here. Well,
right.
What do you think about this?
And he couldn't find a better guy to make him look good.
You're right.
Than Ziggler.
Yeah.
And this is good for his gimmick.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because with everyone complaining about how he cashed in and why and when, this is an opportunity to make him look vicious again and all that stuff. So.
And his work is solid.
Yeah. His
work is very solid for a young kid, So then they go backstage, and Rhea Ripley comes up to the damage control and basically says, let's go to war. I'm on your team. This did not make so much stuff did not make it to Hulu. Baron Corbin gets Akira Tozawa. I think Corbin beats him in 3 minutes. Like anybody knew the outcome of that was going to be any different.
Come
on. Then we go to the women interview again. Kathy interviews Bianca, Asuka, Alexa, and Mia Yim, and Belair said Ripley's definitely a problem. She said if her team looked good with 4 members, why do people see their 5th member? Kelly said one member from each team would compete in a match to determine who would have the numbers advantage. Oh, God. So we got to do that, man. That next week with all these matches, just whatever. So Finn was shown warming up for his match, and Byron Saxton in the picture, and asked if he had any response to AJ Styles challenging him to match the Survivor Series. Balor said, of course he accepts. He asked if Styles knows who he is, and said Styles should ask Edge or Rey Mysterio, and they would tell him. Balor turned his focus to the main events, and he would become the new U.S. champion, and he makes his entrance. And Seth versus Finn. I actually my what do you call it? My Hulu something for on this thing started malfunctioning for some reason, so I didn't get to see this. But basically, Rollins superplex Balor. Balor counters in a 1960 for a near fall. Both been counter moves. Rollins lands a Falcon Arrow. Dominic, Priest, and Rhea all run out, and Balor took advantage of the distraction. Balor attacked Rollins and performed a standing double stomp. Then the OC and Mia Rim ran out and fought with the Judgment Day members at ringside. Dom rolled inside the ring, and Anderson followed and clotheslined him over the top, and Balor returned the favor by sending Anderson to ringside. Priest and Anderson crashed into the broadcast table. In the ring, Balor dropkicked Rollins and went up for his finisher, but Styles shoved him off the top rope while the referee was tied up with Dom. Styles and Gallows fought with Dom and Priest in the crowd. Meanwhile, Rollins put Balor away with a stomp finisher. I can only imagine that was laid out very well, and like the timing was probably good the way that reads.
Well, these are two of the best wrestlers in the world, and Rollins got a great knack. What's this guy's name? Finn Balor has a great knack. Doesn't matter if you put him with Roman Reigns, whoever you put him with, he always looks credible and he always looks good, and he looked really good here. And this was a really good match.
And after the match, Austin Theory attacked Rollins from behind and hit his A-Town finisher. Rollins rolled to ringside. And Theory starts beating him up on the broadcast table, and brought him back inside the ring and hit his finisher again. And I guess I didn't see this. I guess he got good heat from the crowd. He picked up the championship belt and hit Rollins with it, and stood over Rollins and held the belt. So we had the show with heat on Seth Rollins to solidify him as a babyface. Yep. I imagine. So was that good heat at the end?
Yep, and the people love singing Balor's song. Rollins' song. He's super over. Very, very good way to end the show.
All right, that's been our Raw review.
Enjoy the rest of the show. Boom.
All right.
Hey, before we split, I just wanted to bring up one TV show since we haven't talked about TV or movies in a minute. Have you guys heard of Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone?
I've seen the commercials. What's it about?
Yeah, it just started. So the guy that created Yellowstone created this, and the main showrunner is from The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire, and another guy, the director's from The Sopranos too. So it's got all the ingredients to be really good. I watched the first half of the first episode. It's basically an old New York mob boss gets out of jail and gets sent to set up shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it's been good so far, and Stallone's been good. But I'm only half through the first episode. But like I said, it has all the ingredients to be really good. So I'd say give it a shot and see what you think.
Maybe check it out.
Yeah, it's on Paramount.
Yeah, cool.